Bing, bop, boom, bop, boom, bop, bam. I think it's about time to invest in an actually sharp knife. Alright, you may be asking yourself, why do I have ham? This is not a hamburger. This is ham. This is actually Natural Choice Hormel smoked deli ham uncured. And this entire recipe started off with a play on words of hamburger and cheeseburger. So what did I come up with? Ham and cheese burger. It makes sense to me. It kind of feels like I'm going to get some ham and grilled cheese vibes going on with this, which I'm hoping is the case, which you never know, it might not. If my flavor brain knows anything, it kind of knows what this is going to taste like already. Like some toasty and seared cheese and with some of that salty ham flavor and a nice beef patty. What we're going to be doing is making a burger patty with ham and cheese pieces in it. I was going to blend this, but instead I opted for chopping up my stuff, give little pockets of flavor, you know, just like Guy Fieri would want, I guess. So this was roughly 3 ounces of ham. Just dice it up. It doesn't have to be any particular size. I'm gonna do roughly the same amount of sharp cheddar cheese. Should be looking a bit like this. I do want to weigh it out, so let's get a scale out. Let's add in 6 ounces of beef. I already have 6 ounces of cheese and ham. Just trying to get a nice, even 12 ounces of food. Got that in there. Take some clean hands. These are pretty clean. I just showered. I hope I didn't do anything to make them not clean within the 28 seconds I just showered. Just start giving it a mix. This shouldn't be surprising. This is what we were going to do the whole time. And you don't want to mix it too much, but you do want to make sure that all of the components are kind of staying within the beef. Which the cheese is going to be the biggest culprit of falling out, but you know, that's not the end of the world. You know, you could stop right here. You could just make this a big patty, have like a hamburger steak type thing. I'm going to go ahead and make it into 2 separate patties. Got a plate. Start making some patties. Have your ball, push it down, cup in the sides a little bit, give it a flip, push it down even more. I would say that is pretty good. The patty should be looking a bit like this. Get that set aside and let's get the other one done. The 2 patties are ready. I do want to season them up slightly because the beef doesn't have any seasoning in it. The ham does have plenty of salt, but it's not going to be enough to season the entire thing. So I'm just going to give it a light sprinkle of steak dusts from my company, Carnivore Companion. I'm sure you've heard about us before. If you want to check us out, there's a link down below as always. Next up, what we want to do is get a pan set over medium-high heat. And since I'm using stainless, I'm going to add just a little touch of olive oil and a knob of butter. I'm just worried about all the cheese sticking to the pan. All right, once your pan is heated through, go ahead and add that patty right on in. Give it a little light press. Make sure it's getting even contact so we can get a nice Maillard reaction. All right, after a couple minutes, we're probably good to flip. If you go to do this and it's not flipping, you probably need just a little more time. Oh yeah, that's looking fantastic. Because it really shouldn't take too much longer. I'm going to go ahead and add some of this smoked Swiss cheese to the top. Feel free to use more cheese or no cheese if you'd like. Use more cheddar, that'd be fine too. I'm going to reduce my heat just a touch because it's getting pretty toasty. And I think my alarm's about to go off. I'm going to cover this for a few seconds. I should let it kind of steam the rest of the burger. I think I cut my Swiss way too thick. I got some thick Swiss. All right, the burger's definitely done. Let's go ahead and get that bad boy out of there. Oh yeah, look at that. You probably will have some bits like this stuck to it with this. This is just definitely burnt cheese. But I'm gonna go ahead and save you the experience of watching me cook another burger because that's not interesting. So let's go ahead and these bad boys are done and they smell quite amazing if I do say so myself. Got great color on both of them. Got some nice melty cheese on top. Got some nice melty cheese inside. Got some nice tasty ham inside. More words to describe how the food is. Don't look at my spoon. I ran out of forks. They're both dirty. That's right. I own 2 forks and that's it. Let's give this a taste. There's a cheese pocket in there. You like the cheese pocket? This is everything I wanted it to be. This is so good. I don't know if it's because I haven't eaten in 18 hours. This is such a simple idea, yet it's so fantastic. I don't even think you need the smoked Swiss on top if you happen to be able to find it. But if you do find it, it makes a great addition. It feels like I just pulled this off the grill. God, I've outdone myself. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this video right here. I made it probably 4 years ago now. And what happened was I found out that Marco's Pizza made like a meatball bake. I just didn't know it existed. And I wanted to make it at home because it can be cheaper, it can be better. So I made it. And ever since then, I've thought of ways to make it even better. And today I'm going to show you how to do that. It's all going to start with a bowl. And to that bowl, we're gonna add 1 pound of ground beef. And the next thing we need to add is some mild Italian sausage. And we only need about 8 ounces of that. Now, the sausage is gonna have plenty of seasoning in it, but the beef is the bulk of this and it has no seasoning in it. So also add in a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of granulated garlic, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Obviously, you can skip the black pepper and the garlic. You can actually skip the Italian sausage if you'd like, but this is our flavor. We need this. He wants to be here. So what you can do is use a gloved hand to mix it. You just don't want to crazy over mix it. The more you mix it, the more of a sausage texture it's going to get to it. So just go for, a couple minutes, just kind of until everything's incorporated. All right. That's all mixed up. Now, if you've watched any of my meatball videos, you probably know how I like to handle my balls. But if not, this is how I usually do it. I've got my bowl of meat on a scale that has been zeroed out. Today I'm going to be making 2-ounce meatballs. So all I'm going to do is grab a wad of meat, get a general ball shape, and then just kind of fondle them until they look nice. It's not going to be perfect, but it should look generally spherical. That one's done. Here's a time lapse. Alright, you should be left with 12 meatballs, and I had a little extra meat, so I have a little bit of a smaller one, but that's just nothing to be ashamed about. And I will be cooking these in the air fryer today. So I have a parchment liner that I'm going to use to keep my air fryer squeaky-ish clean. If you want to do this in an oven, you can preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and cook these for roughly 20 to 25 minutes, and you should be completely cooked through. But for the air fryer, I'm going to set it to air fry 375 for 12 minutes. Let that go, see how they are in 12 minutes, and we'll be right back. All right, let's see how we did. Ooh, I think we did pretty good. Just give me 1 second while I figure out how to get this out without, dripping grease all over the place. And while those were cooking, I went ahead and made a sauce that was made up of about a cup of heavy cream, 4 ounces of cream cheese, that just incorporated into the cream until it became a thickened sauce. And the pan is set to medium heat, just in case you need a reference. Just bring that to a simmer and get all the cream cheese melted and incorporated. You can use a whisk, you can use a fork. It should just break down over the time of the heating. The sauce is done. I do want to get it seasoned up though. So add a big pinch of salt, probably a half teaspoon of salt total, and follow that with a big pinch of black pepper. Alright, I figured out how to get the meatballs out. The grease is just going to have to wait till later to be figured out. Next up, let's top this with some grated Parmesan cheese or shredded, whatever you want to do to it. And then finish that off with just a little bit of chopped parsley for some color. And it looks beautiful. This bad boy is done. I would say that this is actually a lot faster than the original because I didn't have to sit there and reduce the cream after cooking the meatballs. I just went ahead and cooked the meatballs, so this makes it so much faster. The biggest thing that I added to this was the cream cheese to the sauce to get a very thickened Alfredo type sauce. Also removed the mozzarella. I didn't really add anything to it other than a little color on top of the meatballs whenever they were rebaked. So I think in those two aspects, it's made this a superior product at the end for sure. Let's just see how it tastes. Oh yeah, baby. It's a lot more beefy. The texture is actually a lot more soft compared to the other ones. You could probably serve at least 3 people with this entire dish. Or if you're into food challenges, this could be a good one to see how full you can get on fats. Hope you enjoy. Cheers. So for this one, we'll be making a cheeseburger casserole. Got my pan nice and hot, nice and ready. Get that out of there. You don't need that anymore. I'm going to take 1 pound of ground beef. Going to just break it up into our pan so that we can start getting a nice, really hard sear on it. Since this is going in a casserole, I'm not necessarily looking for it to brown. I'm looking for it to get flavor and color. I've got my pan set to medium-high heat, and I'm going to let it sit here for a while, just until it gets some nice color on it. But you do want that initial contact to really, really be hot, because that's what's going to give it that nice sear. Just let that do its thing for roughly 3 to 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and reduce my heat to medium and just let it go. All right, it has been a few minutes. You'll probably notice that you have a lot of gray coming around the outside edge of your beef. But when you flip it over, you should have nice hard sear that looks something like that. Ow, my face. And once it does, you can go ahead and just kind of move it around a little bit. Preferably with something that's not going to rip the sear off. And this is not seasoned as well. I'm just going to go ahead and add roughly a teaspoon, maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon to this. Just kind of get that mixed in. I'm not trying to cook this all the way through. I'm just trying to get that nice color. I am done with that. It will be cooked again, so we can go ahead and move on to making our custard. And for this, you simply need 2 eggs, about 1 cup of heavy cream, half a teaspoon of salt, quarter teaspoon of black pepper, quarter teaspoon of granulated garlic, half a teaspoon of onion powder. See, whenever I have casseroles, I do like it when it has a crust, so I wanted to have a crust on this one. Especially since it was a cheeseburger, I wanted something to imitate the bun. My thought process is, if you've ever had a strata, that is like bread on the bottom, eggs and sausage, usually some cheese and a custard that fills in the bread. It makes it like its own crust. So what I'm going to do is make this custard and use pork rinds as a light layer of crust. This is just what I had left. This is probably like about an ounce, maybe less than an ounce of pork rinds. Gonna kind of crush them up lightly, put them in the bottom of the pan. Next up, we will layer it with some cheese. This is just sharp cheddar. You can use any cheese you want. This is gonna be roughly an ounce of shredded sharp cheddar. Next up, I'm going to do an optional couple teaspoons of spicy brown mustard. Like I said, it's optional. You don't have to do this. I just want that flavor within my casserole. Now we can take our ground beef and just top it. Now let's take our custard and drizzle it all over the entire thing. Let's shred over a little more sharp cheddar, and then we'll just finish it off with some bacon crumbles. These are the pre-made bacon crumbles like you can get in the store. Don't feel like you have to use these. You can use whatever you want. And that's what it should look like before we go in the oven. And it's going to go into the oven at 325 degrees for roughly 25 to 30 minutes, or until the custard is set completely. You should be able to pick it up, jiggle it a little bit, and nothing should be sloshing around. So this is done. I will say my house smells amazing right now. I think the combo of the bacon plus all the spices and the custard helped to do that. I'm gonna let this cool off for just maybe 5 minutes or so, just so I don't, burn my entire face off while eating this. But while we wait, here's a nice little stock video of a squirrel for you. All right, I really hope you enjoyed that. Let's go ahead and give this a taste and see how it is. I'm curious to see how these pork rinds worked out for this. That's the bite right there. This is really good. The crust actually set up. It's not too eggy. It's not too pork rindy. It kind of balanced out everything with all the seasoning inside of the custard. This is pretty good. This is the first cheeseburger casserole I've ever made. I didn't look up any other recipes to get ideas. I just kind of went with what I thought would be good. If you like this recipe, or if you like the stock squirrel footage, go ahead and give this video a like. And I might as well show you the cute squirrel again. To make these jalapeno popper ground beef cheesecake type little things, so I'm going to start with some ground beef. I had this meal prepped from a couple days ago. This is just what's left. This is roughly 6 ounces of ground beef. You can use more, you can use less if you want, but you're gonna need it. We're trying to keep this as easy as possible. If you have this ready to go, awesome. If not, feel free to brown up some fresh ground beef. So for cheesecake, you usually use cream cheese, eggs, sometimes sour cream, sometimes heavy cream, and then you would mix it with sugar, etc., and then bake it. But I'm gonna keep this extra easy. I'm gonna make this a no-bake type cheesecake. And it almost feels weird calling it a cheesecake, so that inherently means that it's going to be sweet, but this is gonna be more of a savory thing, and they're also gonna be pretty small. All right, so this isn't completely room temp. You should probably do this at complete room temp, but this will do fine. Just break up about 12 ounces of cream cheese into a bowl. I wish I had my mixing bowl, but I left it at work. That's okay. And I'm only breaking this up so I can give my hand mixer a little bit of a chance to mix all these ingredients together well. Just get a hand mixer and just kind of carefully mix this. I don't know why I'm using such a small bowl, but I'm gonna go for it. I got it on the lowest setting to start. And what I'm gonna do is go to work and get a mixing bowl because this is insane. All right, now that I've quit being lazy, I can now continue with softening my cream cheese even more. It seems that in the process of making this as easy as possible, I went and made the process itself more difficult just because I didn't want to wash the dishes. So if you have a blender or a food processor, I think that's what's going to actually make this easier. You're also going to add whatever kind of seasoning you like. I'm going to use some jalapeno ranch from my company, Carnivore Companion. I'm going to go with roughly a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons. Yeah, 2 teaspoons. And then I'm going to add in about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Again, slow. Slow. A little more heavy cream, probably up to a 1/2 cup now. Oh my God. Yeah, use a blender. This isn't worth it. This wasn't worth it at all. Well, let me clean up my mess I've made. And the last ingredient is very optional. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. So I'll just review it real fast. Take 2 jalapeno peppers, throw them directly onto some fire. I have a butane stove to make this easy. If you have a gas stove, you can use that, or you can just roast them in the oven. Once they are charred, put them into a bowl and cover them for at least 5 to 10 minutes. This will allow them to steam and let the skin peel off easy, which is the next step. Get a paper towel, rub off all the burnt skin, or, you know, like 95% of it. It's okay to have a little bit on there. Cut the ends off, split it in half, devein and de-seed the peppers, and then dice into whatever size you want. And with all of those ingredients ready, we can finally make our mini cheesecake jalapeno popper muffins. Went and bought some of these little mini cupcake liner things. I'm gonna go ahead and mix in my ground beef with my cream cheese mixture. And then we will just start scooping and give it a little press and repeat. All I'm going to do is just kind of lightly dust every one of them over the top with my same seasoning. Take some of your roasted jalapeno, place them on top of each one. Very last second, I didn't even think about doing this until just now. You don't have to do it. Sure, it'd enhance it a little bit. Got a little salty and chew to it. I don't even think I'm going to have enough bacon to do all of them, so let's just do half of them. They should be looking a bit like this at this point. I'm going to throw these in the fridge for about a half hour. They'll probably be even better about an hour or two later. I'll see you in a half hour. Woo! All right. It's actually been like 2 hours for me. But for you, it's been literal seconds. So, yeah. Yeah, let's go ahead and call that. We need to do this overnight. But since I got this one out, I'm going to give it a taste. That's really good. The beef in this really stands out. It kind of adds a chew to it that you wouldn't normally get from, like, number one, a cheesecake that just never has chew. And number two, like, it's kind of got like an extra layer of roasty flavor. And I know we roasted jalapenos, but the beef is really coming through, which is... And there goes one of the other ones. Go ahead and give this one a taste too. This is really good. This will make a great appetizer for people who are like keto or carnivore or keto, whatever. It's just a good way to give people a bite of food and they can move on, try something else. If you're at like a get together and you want to do finger foods, I think this is a great option. Give them a try. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoy them.